What's up, everyone? It's Matt Mrozik, aka MVM397, with Sinanju 172nd Sinanju Commission Work in Progress number 6, I believe it is. I guess it's like a number 7, but it's actually 6. I did a tutorial on the reverse watch, which I have not finished on this kit yet. But anyway, so last night I went through. I'm done spraying all my reds. I went through and masked off all the metallic areas and everything on the armor that I wanted to spray different colors. So you can get a really good sense of what it looks like on the booster pack here. So I've got my two-tone red going on. I've got, this is Mr. Color Gun Chrome. This is Mr. Color Burnt Iron, which is a new color I started trying out, and I really, really like it. It's very similar to All Clad Steel, which All Clad Steel is probably my favorite like metallic frame color. This is close to it. It's a little brighter, like a little more shimmery, but it doesn't cost $9 a bottle. So I really like it. So you can see there, you can get a sense of the color scheme going on here too. The gloss coat, this is just, I use the Mr. Color GX clear coat on this time instead of the U-Pole. I had some, I did want to mention something about the U-Pole clear. Sometimes when you're spraying clear all clad, like on here, I've got some clear all clad. I did notice on my last kit that if I put the U-Pole on too heavy, it tended to run the clears a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I just did the Mr. Clear this time because I had a couple all clad clear parts on here. So just a little note about that. But you can see here that this is nice and shiny. It's ready to accept decals, which is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to start putting some decals on the armor. So you can see here I've got my gloss coat going on, nice and shiny. They'll take decals perfectly. I put this on last night, so this has had time to dry for 24 hours. On this piece, you can see a couple spots right here, there, and there, where it looks, you can kind of see a spot. I actually nicked the paint a little bit with my X-Acto blade, taking tape off, so I had to go in there and just kind of touch up the paint with my airbrush, and that little texture area will go away once I do the final top coat, so I'm not worried about it. So let's see what else can I show you as far as how this color scheme is looking. Here's another good example here. Nice and shiny. I haven't decided if I'm going to go through and paint all these a different color. I know I'm not going to worry about the leg armors because you don't see it. You literally will not see any of this detail under here. And on the Jag Dog I did for this client, I killed myself and did all that inside detail, and you can't see one single bit of it. So like on these, I'm not going to worry about it because he's giving me permission just to glue these pieces on, so I don't have to worry about having to take off. The only parts that you will see are underneath the booster pack. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to panel line it, and I'll take a look at it. I may leave it, I may not. So that's something I can always do later if I decide that I want to do it. So I'm just going to I do this on all my builds just as part of the work in progress. I'm going to show you how to put decals on. I do this on all my builds, so if you haven't seen it before, you can see it now. So G-System gives you a really nice set of decals. And one reason I wanted to throw a couple bits of this gun chrome in there, just kind of here and there, is because they give you these really nice silver decals that I wanted to use. These are like for the leg armors and stuff. And I didn't have any silver going on anywhere, so I didn't want to put these decals on without that represented somewhere else. So it's like the shoulder's a good example. This has actually been kind of pre-assembled a little bit. Let me rub that off. I got some. You can kind of see here how that. Now here you can see the two-tone red pretty good. It shows up pretty much better. So I wanted to put some of the silver around, so it just wasn't like that. So the decals weren't the only pop of silver I had on the armor. So I went through and masked all these little details off, painted those like gun chrome. Again, this is the Mr. Color Burnt Iron. These little things I painted, the gun chrome, and then I went over with clear red, but I just did it till it kind of looked purple and not red. The other shoulder over here I had to go in and when I was pre-assembling this, I got a little bit of glue on this paint. So I just recently sanded this down with 1000 grit sandpaper. I primed it, did the first round of red. Once this dries, I have to mask this area and this area off and respray that secondary red. So I gotta wait for that to dry to fix that. What else? Oh, I started to spray parts of the frame. I haven't even started on the frame yet, guys. All I've done is the armor. So all this work I've done is armor strictly. I haven't really done the frame. I did spray a couple parts with the Mr. Color burnt iron, and I'll go in and hand paint some of these details, the pipes and stuff. Again, I probably won't go too crazy because, again, if you glue all the arm on, you can't see all this. So anyway, let's do some decals. So tools, a bowl of water. I always recommend using a bowl that's not clear or not white, simply because you deal with white decals and white paper, and if it floats off in the water, it's hard to see. So I always use like a red bowl or an orange bowl, so if the decal happens to float off in the water, I can find it. I don't leave my decals in the water that long. You'll see in a second. So you need your water. I use Microsol. I know a lot of guys use Mr. Softener and stuff, but I've heard that's pretty darn aggressive stuff. So I've only ever used Microsol, and it works for me. So I don't have experience with anything else, but man, I soak the crap out of my decals with this stuff, and it hasn't harmed my paint. I got a brush to apply the Microsol. Doesn't matter. Just make sure it's a clean brush. Some tweezers to hold the decals. An X-Acto blade and Q-tips. Excuse me. Something's in my throat. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do, let's do one of these silver decals. We'll bring this part back here to the booster pack. I got a couple touch-ups here and there that I've seen after all my masking. I spent a good 2.5 nights, probably a good 12 hours masking all this metallic stuff off and painting it in little spots of black here and there. So it's looking really slick. I'm really excited how this is turning out. So we're going to put on one of these silver decals. And they've actually, G-System has done something really nice for us. They've actually labeled them where they go. So it says booster pack, leg unit, leg armor, and then the rest are just warning decals. Because they never give you a decal diagram like Bandai does. They give you a sheet of decals, and I typically go back to their website and look at their pictures for reference. But here they've actually labeled some of them, which is nice. So I know that this is going to go. Let's see, I have to actually look at the picture. This is going to go. It's going to go on this side. So I need this one right here. They're not numbered. They're just labeled as far as where in the kit they go. And G-System, their new decals are really nice. I have some of their older kits with older decals. These are pre-cut, meaning that the decal film is only around the decals. It's not on the whole sheet of paper. Some of their older decals, the whole sheet is covered with decal film, so you have to cut really close to the decal. So this is what I do. I dip it in the water literally for like a few seconds, and I put it on my paper towel, and I just let it sit. And we'll let that sit for a second. Now don't do what I've done in the past and dump your Microsol all over your decal sheet. That's not good, because then they loosen up and they float away, and then you're screwed. So I've got my gloves on here so I don't get fingerprints everywhere. Got my paper towels, always handy to have too, so the water can wick away. And there's also a thing called Micro Set, which I have a few bottles of, which I've never used. It's supposed to be something. Micro Set is what you're supposed to put down first and then the decal. I tell you what, decaling is one of my favorite steps in this whole process of model building. This process I'm showing you right now is what I've been doing for 10 years, and it's worked every single time. So what I do is I get my Q-tip and I wet it just a little bit, and we're going to see if this is loosening up. Okay, so this is actually 2 decals, which I did not realize. So I'm going to put the first one on, just like that, and we'll put the second one on too. It's stuck to my fingers. There we go. So now I put a lot of water on it. I just get this nice and wet so I can move these around. These are going to go right up in here. And I'm going to get a second Q-tip so I can suck away some of that water. So I usually have a wet Q-tip going on, the one that I use for positioning decals, and then I have a dry Q-tip to kind of suck up the excess water, and then I'll show you what I do after that. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to take my dry Q-tip, I'm just going to touch the tip to the to where all that excess water is. This should kind of wick it away. And now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of squeegee this water out. I'm going to hold, what I'd like to do is try to roll it over it. Like this. Give me 1 second, guys. Owen, whatever you're doing, please stop. Sorry, my son is downstairs beating something. I'm not sure what it is. So that's pretty good. That's pretty much, this is pretty much locked in place now. Now if I need to move it, I can re-wet it and move it around. But for the most part, once you squeegee that water out, it kind of sucks it down. Like this one, I want to move a little bit, so I'm going to put some more water on it. Oops, hope that's in camera. Yeah, it is. Okay. So I know a lot of people don't like doing decals. I love doing decals. And I'm doing these before the panel lines in case there's any decals that go over a panel line, because that panel line would go through the decal, because it'd be paint. It'd be like paint. So I used to do panel lines first, then decals, and then I realized I was doing it wrong for like the longest time. You should put decals on first and then do your panel lines over those. Okay.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy.
Can I have a tablet?
No, you have to go over your words with Mom.
Mom said I could draw on my tablet with it.
All right, well, come here. What did I do with it? Give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Chaos in my house every night. All right, so we got that set pretty much where we want it. Looking pretty good. And now we're going to use the microsol to get it to stay. And I put a lot of this stuff on, guys. You want this to get nice and wet. And this is what's going to get the decal to stay in place. All right, so there's that one decal. So we're gonna let that sit. I'm gonna show you another thing we're gonna do. So this decal I'm gonna put on next goes across 2 panels, and these are the upper leg armors. So they're gonna sandwich around the frame. So the decal I'm gonna put on actually goes across these 2. So what we're gonna do is, let me show you how we deal with that. And it's gonna be this decal right here. I like the Sinanju and I like the Sazabi because it's got lots of decals. You know, when I do one of those master grade kits, man, I use them all. I put them all on. I love them. I like lots of decals, I'm gonna say. When I do decals on a master grade Sinanju or Sazabi, it takes me about, I think the fastest I've ever done is maybe 15 hours. It usually takes me about 20 hours to do one of those kits because there's so many. Okay, so we're gonna take this decal. This is the Red Comet, the Soul of Xeon. I'm not sure if you can read that. I'm gonna dip in the water for a second. And we'll just set on the paper towel. And it's gonna lay right across these 2 panels. So the trick here is what you need to do is you need to apply the decal, you have to set it, and then you need to cut it. Otherwise, you're in trouble. So, what else can I talk about this kit? It's been going pretty smooth. I'm pretty happy. A lot of, again, you know, nothing's too difficult on these. It's just really, as I always say, time consuming. I'm real happy with the way the paint's looking. I got a couple specks of dust I'm actually have to sand out. One in particular is on one of these leg armors, and actually this is a really good example of the colors that are going on. I got a big old chunk of dust right here. I'm not sure where it came from. You can see right there in the highlight, but that'll actually be sanded out. I don't think that's going to be hidden by any top coat. Whenever I paint, I still get dust in my paint, even though I'm inside. It is reduced from what it was when I was painting outside. But you have to be like in a level 3 clean room to not get dust in your paint. I don't know how, like when you do a gloss finish and you want a super gloss, you have to use a super thick clear to cover up the dust, or you have to sand it and polish it. So that's one thing I like the U-Pole. It's slick enough it covers up all the dust and you can't see it. So, all right, that should be soft enough to pull off now. Yep, these decals release pretty quick from the paper on these ones. Some decals you'll get and you'll have to soak them for quite a while. All right, so this one doesn't go, you know, when you look at the picture, it doesn't go on straight, so you just kind of do it whatever you want with it. Again, we're gonna get nice and wet so we can move it around. You'll notice that when your clear cut's really, really shiny, the decal will want to kind of suck down. So that's why I put a lot of water on it so I can keep it positionable, because it kind of creates a vacuum. It sucks it down. When your gloss cut's really, really shiny. So we're gonna just kind of put it on a little bit of an angle. I think what I don't want to do, I think I'm going to put it right about there. I don't want to have to cut that word, though. I don't want to cut the word "the." You won't be able to read it. All right, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to use my dry Q-tip to get some of the water out from underneath it. And then we're going to squeegee this. This is a big decal. I'm actually going to hold one side and squeegee this way. And then that should be set pretty much. Once you get all the water out from underneath of it, it shouldn't want to move. It should kind of suck itself down. Oops. Maybe you'll get to see me break a decal and have to fix it, which I do quite a bit. So, yeah, I do mess up a lot, guys. Trust me. I just know how to fix them. I know how to fix up all my screw-ups. I take the time to do it. So don't be afraid if you screw something up. And just learn how to fix it, because you will screw up. I don't think there's ever been a kit that I've built where I haven't had to go back and fix something that I've messed up. Happens on every build. Okay, that's looking pretty good. All right. Actually, going to pull it back a little bit. I got it pulled over. I'm going to pull it right about there. Bring it up just a little bit. Okay. I think that's where I want it. All right. I think that's pretty good. Now I'm going to put that microsole on there, and it's going to suck it down into that. As it dries, it'll suck it down in that panel line. And when you go across two panels or a panel line, I really, really douse it on. I really want to get that to shrink down into that panel. So I'm putting it on pretty heavy here, guys. And this microsole dries pretty quick. I always let it dry overnight before I do any, unless I do them like first thing in the morning. Decals, I typically let them dry overnight, 12 hours or so, but I do like to just kind of, as the microsole drips, I do like to kind of just wipe it up a little bit where it's not needed. There's no reason to have microsole all over your part. It only needs to be where the decal is. All right, so we're gonna let that sit for a while. And we're coming up on 20 minutes on this video. So I'm gonna go ahead and I think pause it right now, and I'll come back and show you how I cut that. All right, we're gonna finish up this quick little decal tutorial work in progress. So this is dried for about 20 minutes or so, and the microsole did a pretty good job of sucking that decal down into the panel line there. But we're gonna help it along a little bit. I'm gonna get a brand new blade. This blade's not bland. This blade is not brand new. Anytime you're cutting decals, especially ones that have been softened, make sure your blade is like brand spanking new, because they're at this stage after they've had the softener put on them. They're extremely delicate, and if your blade is not brand new, you'll end up snagging it and you'll tear it. We don't want to tear it, we want to cut it. So, brand new X-Life blade. Very sharp, be careful. And we're gonna Go ahead and give this a little slice. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually add some more microsalt to that. And I'll just suck that right down in there. And then once that's dry, I can pull this apart and it's ready for a final top coat. Or it's ready for paneling and top coat. Let's see, is there anything else I could tell you about decaling? Again, decaling to me is a pretty simple process. I really enjoy it. It's kind of relaxing to me. You don't have to think about it too hard. If you've top coated your parts correctly, you shouldn't have to worry about messing anything up. Like I mentioned, a lot of people use the Mr. Softener, which I've heard is really, really aggressive. So I can't speak to that as far as recommending it, but the microsol I can say works really good. It's pretty mild. I've used it over acrylics and lacquers and haven't had any problems with it. Excuse me, I'm burping on camera. I take that back. The only time I have had a problem with microsol is when I didn't wait long enough for the top coat to cure, or dry I should say, because I was corrected. Lacquers don't actually cure, they dry. If you do it too soon, it will eat into the lacquer. And what it'll do is it won't go through it, but it'll leave like what looks like a permanent water spot. And you can fix that by just very, very lightly sanding it and then top coating it, gets rid of it. But that's just something you want to avoid. But I'll just show you some of the parts here now that they're all kind of gloss coated. I showed you one of those armors. These look really good here. And this will go in here. So that's going to look sharp. Looking pretty snazzy. And then I did paint the inner armor part of that. And this will get, I'm going to mask this off and paint that and detail that out because it's all red and looks wonky, and I think you'll be able to see that. These go in here. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to paint. Oops. I just tested fit one of these the other day and it fit. This one's not wanting to fit. I don't want to scratch the paint. That's the last thing I want to do. No scratching paint. Just means I got to fix it. There it goes. So get this in there now. Okay. So this will go in here. This will all get glued together. And that's a side skirt. So I haven't painted the other thrusters, but I'm deciding whether I should keep these this color or go ahead and paint them to match everything else. Don't know yet. I may just leave them that color. I kind of like them. That burnt iron. And I'll do some hand painting in here, like these little pipes in here. I'll hand paint. These little nuts and stuff. I'll go in there and do some hand painting to bring out some of that detail. But so that's work in progress number 6. Doing some decaling. I'll do another one when I do paneling. I get questions about that again. Actually, I can. I'm not gonna show you now because I'll be a separate video. But it's again a super simple process. It's not hard. Just time consuming. I feel like a broken record. But as always, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for staying with me on this, and I hope you guys get some good information out of it. A lot of the same techniques I use all the time, just rinse and repeat. But everyone have a good night. We'll catch you guys later. Signing off. Bye.